Yo, what's going on? Just Hoop Talk Nation here with Justin Henry, Will Thompson, and today we're going to be talking about the Cleveland Cavaliers. We don't do that very much on this show.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers in depth, and they're surprising a lot of teams this year, surprising us here in the media, playing at a really high level. So we're going to talk about some reasons why that could be and some changes that we've seen from last year to this year. Stay tuned.
You are now tuned in to the next best thing. Justin Henry, Will Thompson.
Yeah,
Let's go.
y'all can talk that talk, but this is just Hoop Talk. Updates on the news, analysis who's who gon' win, who gon' lose. Is it true? Is it true? This is just Hoop Talk. This is just Hoop Talk. Ball.
So the Cleveland Cavaliers are playing at a really high level right now. They're not a top of the East type team, but they're going to be in some dogfights. And I think the difference between this team this year and last year is that they're not getting blown out the same way that they were. Those 20 to 25-point losses are now like really competitive games. Will, what's your early reaction to this start for the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, I think the earliest thing, the biggest thing that stands out is them defensively. They're a really tough defensive team. I really enjoyed those battles against Brooklyn. I enjoyed watching them play. I think that's what kind of put the Cavs on the map this year with those two wins, and really put Collin Sexton on the map too, as a guy emerging as a budding star in this league, man. I think two things, defensively and also Collin Sexton stepping up and being a leader for this team, shaping the identity of this team. You know, they call him the young bull, like he's that crazy dude. You've seen the clips of him like being wild defensively, like taking it super serious, but it seems like the team has kind of adapted that identity as well. They're really tough defensively, and they're not afraid at all. They weren't afraid of the Brooklyn Nets when all three guys were there. So it's good to see, man. It's good to see good basketball being back in Cleveland without LeBron. Like, that seems like so long ago we saw a good team from Cleveland that LeBron wasn't involved with. So it's good to see Cleveland back on the map, getting back into the mix of things, and they got a bright future for sure.
Yeah, they do. And you see, obviously we talked about Collin Sexton and his improvement this season. You think about this team, they've had a lot of high draft picks over the years since LeBron has left. And so they've acquired some decent players, and then also even made some pretty bold trades as well. They got Drummond last year at the deadline. They got Jared Allen just recently in the Harden deal. So you're talking about this team going and being aggressive in the draft, going and being aggressive when it comes to trades. And you got to start to think that they're going to right the ship at some point, because these young guys are playing well. Collin Sexton's playing well. Larry Nance is playing well. Darius Garland is playing well. Cedi Osman is playing well. So you have these guys who have – now they're not just the young players anymore. Now they're turning into players who are going to have an impact on getting wins. And when you start to look at this Cleveland team, there's also some pieces that they have that can be used as assets to get more pieces, which is the exciting part for Cleveland Cavaliers fans. JaVale McGee and Kevin Love are probably on their way out. And it looks like they're going to build around Jared Allen. And if Drummond decides to sign his contract, maybe Drummond as well. But Cedi Osman looking good. They got rid of kind of the person in the room that was causing problems in Kevin Porter Jr. So they got rid of him. But this team has a pretty bright outlook. And when you start to think of trades and acquiring pieces, this is a playoff team. I think this is a team that maybe not this season playoff team, but this is a playoff team moving forward with this core. They have the pieces to make the playoffs in the future. If it's not this year, I think for sure we'll be seeing this team in the bubble, though.
Yeah, the young pieces are there. They've been doing it without their proven guy, Kevin Love. So I think that kind of – I mean, I'd be interested to see Kevin Love kind of in the mix with this team to see what he can bring to the table. He still is a guy who can step out and shoot it a little bit, but also can play with his back to the basket. Add a little leadership, some rebounding. We know if he's on the court, he's going to play well. He's going to do his thing. But they don't necessarily need that right now, right? They need these younger players to develop. So I think if I were them, I think the smart move would be to trade Kevin Love, get something in return, get a young player, a draft pick or whatever, because Kevin Love, I think he still has some some miles left on him to make a deep run on a contender. But I love the way this team is constructed. I really questioned what they were doing drafting all these guards. Like it was like, what the hell is going on? But now that Collin Sexton is starting to, emerge as a leader, and you're starting to see the pieces kind of fit Okoro as a defensive guard. Garland can come in and be another scorer for them, whether he's off the bench or he's a starter. It's all kind of starting to come together and make sense. And so it's looking good, man. It's looking really good for the future.
Yeah, they have a lot of talent on paper. I think that's where they look great. And like you mentioned, even just addressing the backcourt situation, they've got their guys, I think, for the foreseeable future. They got Isaac Okoro. They got Cedi Osman there in the front court.
Yeah.
So it's about just cohesiveness and chemistry. And can this team continue to get better and improve? I think the one place where you trade Kevin Love is you get somebody who can potentially be an impact player now in case there is a playoff run. So these guys can see a determined playoff appearance, like where they're actually challenging to get to the second round of the playoffs. And I think in order to do that, you have to get a bigger wing player. Garland and Sexton are nice, but I think they need that complementary two guard, somebody that's a little bigger. Another scorer, I think, for this team would be awesome, just in case Cedi Osman falls off at some point in the year. And obviously you're not going to rely heavily on Larry Nance, Jared Allen, Drummond to be your scorers, But if Kevin Love can be moved for a piece that gives him an additional scoring, additional size, additional just length there, this team could be dangerous. It's one of those teams that, you just don't know. When you have a mentality of we're not going to lose games anymore, we want to change the narrative. That's a scary team to face, and we saw that out of a few teams in the West last year in the bubble, out of the Utah Jazz and the Denver Nuggets.
Yeah, I think you hit it right on the head, man. Like, you'd like to see another scorer with this team. I think outside shooting is still a little bit of a weakness for this team, and that has to be a strength in order for you to make a deep run at any level.
Yes.
In today's game, you got to be able to knock down shots from the outside. They're, to me, a little bit inconsistent still there. So I think whether, Kevin Love comes back and is that player, or they're able to move him and get someone like that who could, have some length defensively, and also they essentially need a 3-and-D guy, right? Like a high-level 3-and-D guy with some experience that can come in and really take this team to the next level. The crazy thing is they're still going to have opportunity to move up into the draft and draft another player, so they can still stay young or get another young asset and keep building, man. That's what's really exciting about this team. I love when I see young teams or teams do things the right way, build a solid foundation for themselves, and then build up from there. Hopefully they're able to keep it together and get better in the future. And, we'll see some more championship runs in Cleveland, because the pieces are there, man, for sure.
Yeah, and JB Bickerstaff's doing a pretty good job with this team right now. We'll see how it goes towards the season. Obviously, the season is just
still early.
Early in the season. We want to see this for an entire season because if they're a middle of the road to end of the road playoff team, we can see them matching up against some vulnerable teams. There, we never know with this Eastern Conference who's going to be there at the top, as long as it's not one of the top guns, the Nets, the Boston Celtics, teams that have already been there. There's going to be a chance for them to potentially upset somebody in that 6 to 8 range. So we'll see how it goes. The Cavs, man, it's fun talking about them, dude, because we don't really get a chance to do it,
Yeah.
So let us know your thoughts in the comments. Are the Cavs back? Are they ready to make a run to the playoffs? And what do you like? Do you guys like this young core, this Collin Sexton, Darius Garland core? Is this one of the better duos that the league is seeing right now? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. Just Hoop Talk, another edition in the books. We're out.
Peace.